You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Pekka's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. And this episode number 14 of Season 3, the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning in Amherst. Visit them at tdsspeech.com. By our friends at the MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. They are at mcutrainingcenter.com. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. It is past December 31st, folks, so you missed out on the 20%, but go to the website, enter the promo code SRG10 and get 10% off all your fertilization starting now in January. Alongside Matt Baker, I'm Steve Forney. What's up, Matt? How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you? I call that, Steve, I don't know if, and I don't mean to offend anybody on this, right? But I use this on my own, like for myself. There's a thing called the dummy tax. And sometimes you just make a dumb choice. You do the wrong thing. I'm going to be quick. I'm not going to pay this parking meter. I'm going to be quick in and out. You come out and there's a ticket. That's a dummy tax, right? If you didn't use the SRG 20 code, we've been talking about it for 13 weeks, folks. It's your dummy tax. Ooh,
in sports, they call it a suck tax in sports. When your team stinks, but you want to get good free agents, you got to pay a little extra because you suck.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So anyway, welcome. Nice to be back doing another show. I don't understand how two teachers that have been off for almost 2 whole weeks can be this exhausted on a Tuesday. Oh my God, what the hell is wrong with us?
Oh my gosh. Well, another thing I'll share, right? Like Steve, you and I were texting last night, and it was me. We're texting Monday, and we're like, "Hey, do we want to do this?" And I'm like, "I can't put a sentence together. I can't do an hour-long show." But now I'm even more tired today. But I'm like, I have 2 basketball practices tomorrow night before the T-Bird.
Oh, it's not going to get any easier.
It doesn't get easier.
Praying for a 2-hour delay Wednesday because that's how I operate.
Fingers crossed.
But we do have a lot to get to. 3 games played on the schedule, 2 wins and a loss. We do have our bracket that we are going to update. This matchup this one coming up might be my favorite on the board. Mm-hmm. And we have some games this weekend to look forward to, including the specialty jersey night. That's why I've got my Indians hat on.
There you go.
So Matt, would you like to start at New Year's Eve, which again feels like it was so long ago? But
seems like it was so long ago. Let's get into that. I do want to say off the top, congratulations to Big Z, Vadim Zarenko, being named Player of the Month. Real quick, his stats this past month: 6 games played, a .930 save percentage, and a .242 goals against average. I want to say this because I also want to give Z a lot of credit, and this is sort of like an intangible. I don't know how you put a number on it, but he's completely stepping up to fill his role. He has always been, and I mean this to no slight of him, we've always supported him and sort of been a Zarenko sympathist. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but we've always defended him, right? But he's always been the backup. He was always the clear kind of number 2. He was behind Hofer. He was kind of the 1A. No, he was behind Subban, but he was there with him. And then with Ellis, he's a clear number 2 behind Ellis. And so this is sort of his first year. I think him and Georgi Romanov are what Subban and Zarenko were, where they're true kind of 1A, 1B kind of guys, but you have Zarenko as that 1A guy. And he's stepping up. Both of those marks over that past month, the .930 save percentage and .242 goals against, are clearly way above his career average. So he's not giving you just a solid good. He's stepping his game up, and so big shout outs to Z. Congratulations on Player of the Month. But again, more importantly for me as the fan, things that I notice is he's elevating his game. He's stepping up his game and making a whole bunch of saves while doing it. Still facing a lot of shots.
Yeah, I was going to say facing 40 shots a night still, you know. And I think some of the games this weekend were literally he saved their bacon. I mean, they would have lost a couple. They would have lost at least 2 out of 3 if it wasn't for his play in net. So I thought he had an exceptional weekend, and the stats from the weekend didn't even count towards the numbers you rattled off because they were in the month of January. Yeah. So the guy's just been absolutely lights out. And again, I thought he was lights out in the loss to Providence. It wasn't his fault that the offense only scored 1 goal. So
we'll get to that one.
Yeah. So definitely congratulations for sure.
But yeah, New Year's Eve game. Let's take like half a step back because we talked about our show last week was a bit ranty. Like for the team getting points, we were like, well, hold on, red flags here, right? Like it's not all good. If you watch how they played, like it was an unbearable watch. And we talked about what this team needed to do to respond. We both expected them to respond, and they clearly did, you know? And so, again, pat ourselves on the back. Credit to us. But credit to the players because they're the ones actually out there doing it. But they win 4-2 against Providence New Year's Eve. Tough game to sort of, I would imagine, get ready for early in the afternoon, in the middle of the week, on New Year's Eve. You got to get your mind right and play a game before you can go out and enjoy New Year's Eve. And they did that. And not only did they do that against a very good team in the Bruins, but they did that to a very good team that dominated them, that straight up bullied them in a 7-1 loss earlier in the week, over the weekend, right? So it was a quick turnaround, and they responded exactly how they needed to, exactly what we wanted to see from them. I think Chris Wagner, again, I just have really enjoyed watching his savviness and skill this year. I am biased because he was kind of like my guy I picked out at the beginning of the year that I really wanted to watch and was excited as a new addition to see. And will he fill that Mackenzie McEachern void? I think he more than has done that for me, at least, as you know, for my viewing pleasure. But I just thought it was an overall great game, in my opinion, on that New Year's Eve game.
I think that Chris Wagner versus Matthew Patra might be one of the best rivalries right now in sports, and this is why this is what the NHL doesn't get, because are we as fans tired of seeing the Wolfpack and Bridgeport and Providence, and we see the same 3 teams over and over again? Over time, though, that's when the games get feisty. That's when they get nasty. That's when it gets kind of fun, when the teams know each other and they don't like each other. And that's what, like, Boston versus Montreal only 4 times a year is a disgrace. Those 2 teams should be playing each other 7-8 times because of the rivalry, because of what it builds. Also, it means more in the standings than playing the Utah Mammoth. It just does. And so I want to see the Utah Mammoth. Well, then go to Utah. Like, so I sort of love that aspect of it. As you mentioned, sort of patting ourselves on the back. The 2 things that I wanted were a 60-minute effort, which we absolutely got. And I said, give these fans that have been showing up all season show them a good time. Yeah. And I think there was a lot of fans leaving the Mass Mutual Center over those last couple of games very thrilled with the on-ice product. And I asked for swagger, and I haven't seen an AHL hockey coach get thrown out of a game in a long time. And they were so inside of the heads of the Providence Bruins that they got their coach thrown out. They got the players all taking dumb penalties. The whole third period, the Providence spent chasing around Chris Wagner rather than trying to win the game. Yep. And it's because of physicality. It's because they were moving their feet. Again, there were a couple of loud hits, not big hits, but loud hits. That, although I will say that hit on that Wagner put on Tufty kind of like right in front of me. I've never like heard, like, you know, when you drop a lobster in a pot and it like has that scream kind of sound because it's the air coming out of their lungs. That's what I heard from Tufty. It wasn't a scream, but you could literally just hear boom. You could hear the wind get totally knocked out of him. Just a massive hit. And then, you know, later in the game, he hits, I think it was Merkulov. And because Tufty's so big, Tufty tries to grab him. Wagner hits the deck, and he ends up getting, what was it, 2 and 10 on Tufty.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is I was watching. I was going to say something to Tufty in the box. He's a nice guy, but I didn't. But if Tufty wasn't so big, because Wagner was ready to go, all he had to do was not fling him around like a beanbag, and they would have had 5 and 5, and that would have been the end of it. But because he tackled him so aggressively, Wagner's like, "Well, I'm not fighting now," and then boom, now you're stuck with extra penalties. So they played smart, they played physical, they played fast, and really, what more do you need? You play smart, physical, and fast. You're going to be in, if not win, more games than you lose. So I thought that the effort was outstanding. The energy was there, and effort and energy bring puck luck, and there was puck luck. So that was, I think, my favorite 60-minute home performance of the season. And, you know, I think it kind of carried over into the other Providence game, which I know we're going to talk about, but there was this, I think Providence had this like, oh, Springfield again. Yeah, we'll just drop another 7 goals on them. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, wait a minute. Like we can't sleepwalk against this team. We need to really take this team seriously. And that's what they need to instill in these other teams in the division is you need to take us seriously. And I think that's starting to happen.
I agree. Yeah. And just kind of my last things on the New Year's Eve game. And we've been talking about this is can you get off to an early game? And sure, it's fine if you go into the first intermission 0-0. You're not chasing the game. You're not climbing out of any hole. But when you can go into intermission up 2-1, and now the Bruins are now chasing the game, and not only that, but you're able to get under their skin in that second period through big, loud, physical hits. And again, something else that we talked about where it's Peterson doesn't just have to be always a fight. That dude needs to give his knuckles a rest. I know we'll probably talk about that too.
Yeah, they're pretty banged up.
Man, they're banged up. But, you know, the loud hits matter and it brings energy. And so now not only are you chasing the game on the scoreboard, but now you're chasing emotions. And now you can just tell. At least I saw it, and you kind of alluded to this. I think disagree with me if I'm wrong here, but you can just sense the Bruins got caught playing how the Thunderbirds wanted them to play. And like you talked about it, Tufty is chasing after Wagner after it was a clean hit on Merkulov. It was a big hit. And
it was clean.
It was a clean hit, you know, and any play. But you know what? Screw this guy. He already knocked the wind out of me. Now he's going after Merkulov, and now not taking Merkulov. No, now I have to stick up for my guy. You know, so they were not only again chasing the scoreboard, but chasing the emotion of the game. You get your coach thrown out of the game. Could you tell? And you don't have to actually share what. Could you tell what was heard or know exactly what happened there? I know that was a fan rant question.
So I don't. I obviously am on the other side of the ice, but the other thing is that there are times that this kind of thing happens where because there was another penalty at that same time. I'm just trying to look at the box score real quick because there was the roughing on Tufty. Oh, so that was on the same play.
Yeah, it was the same sequence.
He got thrown out after Tufty jumped Wagner. So for me, I'm in there. Okay, what's the time? What are the penalties? I'm writing all the stuff down. Who's serving the extra because somebody has to serve for Tufty because he got this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm doing all this writing down. And then I look up and I see the referee come over and goes, the coach is thrown out unsportsmanlike conduct. So I was sort of in the middle of doing my own thing as that all unfolded. So I really am not sure. But I mean, to get thrown out as a hockey coach, you got to be.
It doesn't happen often.
You got to be, really not nice.
And especially like, it's not like he climbed onto the ice. So he must have just said something that crossed the line.
It was technically abusive officials. So it was definitely, definitely that, but I don't
then
know.
my last
I think that should sort of change the whole momentum in the game. The Thunderbirds had the momentum, but boy, that just sort of put it right over the top at that point in the third period. But anyway,
I think that just sort of solidified it. That just was the
Yeah.
nail in the coffin for the Bruins. And at that point, I think you're kind of just like, if you're the Bruins, you're almost just like, all right, let's just get out of here. Like,
Right.
okay, you know, sure, it isn't 7-1, right? Like, so let's just get out of here and we'll see them next time. Their alternate jerseys growing on me. I'll be
I'll
on,
tell you,
like,
I
seeing
really like
them.
the jersey. I
like
wear they
'em.
were. Yeah, I wish they were wearing blue buckets as helmets. The red ones kind of
Yeah.
throw it off a little bit. I have the blue helmets, but yeah, I think they're sharp. I always like gray. You got a white sheet of
Yeah.
ice. Why wear white? Wear gray. And so I kind of like them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree there.
What are your thoughts while we're on it on the Indians throwback jerseys, the white ones that they're going
I
to wear
love
this
'em.
weekend? You see those? I thought
I
they were
love
great.
them. Yeah, I love them. And again, growing up in Connecticut as a Whalers fan when I was in elementary school, I think they're the years that they were the Whalers affiliate, and I love the colors, and the white, it's just sharp. It pops.
Yeah,
Love
it
it.
does.
Love it.
Totally.
So job well done.
All right, so going now towards the Bridgeport game, which I thought was, again, I found them to be very smothering. I mean, they gave up a goal 9 seconds into the game and then get one back less than 60 seconds later. I mean, we've said this a lot over the last couple of weeks, but if that game was in October, they lose it.
Correct.
You know, and so now they're starting to learn how to win. And of course, it comes from a guy like Hunter Skinner, who I want on my team forever. He's just a baller. He doesn't care what the score is. He doesn't care what the momentum is. It seems like every year he has a couple of those goals where he's just buried at the blue line and he just flings one towards the front and it's in, and it's always a big goal at the time. So I love the stick-to-itiveness of how they played that game in Bridgeport, and how, again, it reached a point in the game where Bridgeport kind of said, all right, well, this isn't going to happen. And they kind of laid down a little bit. And that's a credit to the Thunderbirds.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a pretty power play goal. Also, their second goal in the first period. Again, back-to-back games where you're going into the first intermission up 2-1. But Marc-Andre Gaudet with that backdoor cut on the power play was absolutely, it was beautiful. I mean, if you didn't know, you're just watching that, you're thinking Marc-Andre Gaudet is a seasoned vet in the AHL and 10 to 15 game goal scorer. It was just beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So very impressed with the way Marc-Andre Gaudet has been playing this year. He's probably my biggest surprise player. And it's good to see Dylan Dubé getting in the mix. I believe he had 2 assists, if I'm not mistaken. So, for him factoring in on the score sheet, I think is great for him as well. And it shows this team kind of clicking on all cylinders. So that's great.
And a couple guys that we've been, I think, kind of waiting on to really kick it up a notch. Juraj Pekarczyk and Stunsel. I think Pekarczyk and Stunsel both had great 3 day, a great 3 days just with effort and skill. And yeah, that goal by Gaudet was really all Stunsel and Dubé sort of setting that up for him to drive in. And it was a slam dunk of a goal. You're not going to get any easier than that. So the young kids are really starting to step up a little bit right when you need it the most. And then, of course, you mentioned Peterson. So they get the young core, the young group is really starting to come around.
Do you feel as though this young core has been their most impactful young core over the last few seasons?
I'd say it's probably the most impactful that they've probably ever had. I mean, if you look at even the Calder Cup run, Will Bitton wasn't exactly a young. We talk about young kids, right?
Him and Hugh McGing were like their young core.
Yeah, James Neal, Toropchenko, McEachern, like none
Nikita
of those guys.
Alexandrov.
Nikita, like I didn't consider any of those to be young 19, 20, 21-year-old prospects, right? I mean, they were younger, obviously, but I don't think they had the same, the same belief that they could make the elevation like Dvorsky, Jake Neighbors, like the way that they think about guys like Otto Stenberg and Koskamaki. So I think this is the best young group they've probably ever had. When you look at them up and down the roster, especially the forward group, and, probably going to get Justin Carbonneau in here next year, who is just lighting the QMJHL up right now, which is great too. So I think that this is probably the best young crop that they've had since the partnership with St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that St. Louis is okay with how we're handling it. Like, clearly they're not like, he needs to play more and he needs to play less. They're like, no, just keep rolling him out there and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that relationship is working out well with the big club. And I think that they're in a wonderful spot. And hats off to St. Louis for drafting the way they did. I mean, you only got these guys from rocking the draft. So they're doing a great job with that.
I agree. I mean, I'm going back. Again, the Calder Cup run was kind of that was the beginning of their St. Louis affiliation. And then you had, like I said, you had Nikita, you had Will, you had Hugh, and they were all great. They're all great. This is not to knock, but then the year after that, then you have like the two Zachs. And even them, you knew they were destined for NHL, and they got their way to the NHL that season towards the end, but they weren't that impactful for the Thunderbirds. You kind of were like waiting for it, and the minute they got hot, they were pulled up.
Right.
So you never really saw them just dominate the AHL over a lengthy period of time. Then obviously, last year you have Dvorsky, who's the big name. No surprise there. But I still consider Koskamaki a young guy. You've got Stenberg, who's still up in St. Louis. I would imagine he might be coming down soon because I think those guys are getting healthy up in St. Louis. But Stunsel and Peterson is still a young guy. And you got Pekarchik and Susuyev and Jet Jones, Sam Stang, just all these guys. I can't remember a season where you had this many young guys contributing in meaningful points.
And
it's all futures bright.
And I mean, I mentioned Justin Carbonneau, but you just had the World Junior Tournament where your draft pick goalie, and again, pardon me because I don't really watch junior hockey, but I know that the goalie there for Sweden, who won the goalie of the tournament, is a St. Louis draft pick.
Love,
and then they had Herenstam.
Let's call him Love H for now.
Yeah, Lovey. And Adam Jiricek was on the other side for Chechnya, and he had like 5 goals in 6 games as a defenseman or something like that. So like the ball's going to keep rolling, and St. Louis is drafted really well, and we are definitely benefiting from the fruits of their drafts over the last 3-4 years. So as long as they keep drafting them, we'll keep developing them.
Yeah.
So I guess what was the only other the only other thing I wanted to talk about with the
Sunday
Bridge,
game.
Well, I just want to go to the Bridgeport game real quick. Because you mentioned Dylan Peterson's hand, and I give him a lot of credit because what I know for a fact from when he and Luke Rowe came to the box after the fight is that Rowe initiated it and said, dude, I really got to spark my team. Can you give me one? And despite his hand being a mess, Dylan Peterson said, yeah, I'll go with you. And Rowe on several occasions said, Petey, thank you so much, man. I owe you one. Like hit me up anytime you need one. Like they were so cordial back and forth in the box. But Peterson was definitely asked to go for Rowe. And he said yes, and his hand was equally, if not more bloody than it was 2 games before after that other fight. So that's a tough kid, man. Dylan Peterson is a tough kid. And I love his emotion after he scored. His emotion, his Sellies after scores are so awesome. That love it. So we're in a good place here with this young group. And like I said, a couple of nice wins last week. The only problem is, oh boy, then you get to that Providence game, Matt.
Yeah.
And as I like to say, and I've probably said it on the podcast before, but I always say it to you, I'm like, playing a team like Providence, just drag them to overtime. I don't care how you get there, drag them to overtime. And it looked like they were playing that game not to lose. rather than playing it to win. And giving up a goal, I mean, just constant pressure on Zarenko. Constant. Springfield finishes the game with 17 shots on goal, outshot 10-2 in the second period, 14-5 in the third. Just constant pressure in the Springfield zone on Zarenko, and eventually the dam broke, and then it just so happened to be with literally 70 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, it was a 2-1 game.
Right.
But I feel like, and I don't know if I can articulate this the way it is in my head, but I agree with you. Like, that's the team you need to drag to overtime. But I almost wonder if that, like, that's how they were playing, is let's just drag them to overtime. I want you playing to win.
To beat them in regulation.
Yeah. Like, but at the end of the day, like, as that game is going on, as the fan, I'm like, oh, boys, just take this to overtime. Because, again, you're outshot 10-2. And then, again, in a 1-1 third period, you've got to do better than 5 shots. And it's not – I realize it's not just, well, just shoot the puck, right? Like, there are things that happen that when you can't get the puck through the neutral zone, you can't set up any offense in the O zone. Like, yeah, it's hard to get shots when you're just in chaos. And that's how that sort of, and those are the games where it's like, as a fan, you're watching it and, all right, not really clicking right now, just get them to overtime. But they need, I don't know, like it, again, I am not overreacting. I'm not going to be negative about it. Like, it is what it is. They played them. I don't think they deserved necessarily the win. Like, I think the outcome was what should have happened. Because, again, if you get outshot, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know they had like 7 shots in the last 2 periods.
Yeah, 10-2 and 14-5. They're outshot
So, like,
24-7 in the last 2 periods.
You don't deserve a 3-1 shot margin. You don't deserve to win that game, right? But the fact that you were 70 seconds away from getting a point, you're like, boys, just, where I don't know. But
well, I mean, I think
that's the Jekyll and Hyde of this team, though.
Right. And I think they need to learn how to, I don't think there's anything wrong with learning how to kill clock. Like, they don't know how to kill clock. And sometimes it's just dump it in the corner, forecheck, step on the puck, and just pin it to the boards with your skates for 45 seconds. How many times do you see teams do that in Springfield when we're losing? They just get the biggest guy, put him in the corner, pin the puck against the boards, and just let everybody whack at your ankles for 30 seconds. Like, little things like that to help you just kill clock. And like you said, yes, I'd love for them to go out there and try to score and win the game, but you need to also learn how to kill clock, you know how it is in football. It's like you get a lead and the number one objective is to end the game, kill the rest of the clock. Same kind of thing. Just learning how to, even if it's not a tie game, if you're up 2-1, you're up 3-2 and it's the third period, you just want the game to end. Get the puck down in that zone and cycle it around 5 or 6 times, make a couple line changes, whatever you can do to just kill the game is what you need to do. And I don't think when you have the start that they've had this season, you're not looking for any game to end. In fact, you're wishing you had more time in some of them. So maybe that's a part of it too, but hopefully they're learning a little bit about how to properly end games, kill periods, right? Even same thing goes for period. You have a long shift, you're on the penalty kill, or you have tired skaters out there and there's 35 seconds left in the second period. How can you eliminate those 35 seconds as effectively as possible? I think that's there's an art to that, and that's something that I think they probably could use a little bit of work on.
Yeah. Last thing I'll just kind of say, and it kind of sums it up. Like, if you look, I still have the bad taste of how this season started. But you really, if you, and I'm not going to make this about Nikita Alexandrov, but if you look at when he was on the team versus after the trade, it's been the Jekyll and Hyde, right? It's been a completely different team. And they really have only had the one 7-1 blowout loss since the trade. So if you sit there and say, like, all these things about that we're talking about from the 3-1 loss in Providence, if this is now this team's off day, where it's an off day, and you're just like, drag this really good team in Providence, like, don't take anything away from them, drag this really good team to overtime, like this was their bad moment, I'll take that. And we'll kind of end the show with the week ahead and these next 3 games coming up, but I am, it's hard for me to do. I can't get rid of how the season started, but really, like, let's wipe that slate clean. And I don't expect them to go back to that, the way that things looked early in the season. I expect their bad games to look like that, getting outshot 3-1, right? For every 3 Providence shot, you get 1 shot, and goalies are our goalies are working extra hard. Their goalies are relaxed. Like, if that's an off day and at the end of the day, you're 70 seconds away from getting a point, that I'll take that.
Yeah. Could be worse.
Yeah.
Only other thing I wanted to add is congratulations. And I'm so happy to see Zach Dean back. That is awesome for him. And I'll tell you what, if you can get Zach Dean consistently in the lineup, and you can get Akil Thomas back, and you get Pekka back on American time, and then Stenberg comes back down, like, holy smokes, that could be the best top to bottom forward group, I think, in the league. I mean, I don't know I see what's going on in Grand Rapids. I don't know what the roster looks like, but geez, they're blowing doors at a historic pace. But I mean, and you still have Dylan Dubé, like, wow, like that could be one of the top, top groups of 12 forward skaters, like, in the league. I mean, it would just be, I don't even know who you sit.
Yeah.
You'd be sitting Sam Stang. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm with you, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I think first and foremost, more than just the hockey player, Zach Dean, the person, Zach Dean, like, congratulations. I don't know if graduating, but fulfilling his requirements in the player assistance program. He did that, and now he's back with the team. I am going to temper my expectations for him. I don't expect him. I don't think we see him. I don't know how much, like, I don't know anything about the player assistance program. I would imagine it's more about the person than it is the hockey. So I don't know how much on ice time he's been getting. Obviously the kid knows how to skate and he knows how to play hockey, but he had an injury-filled year last year, didn't play a lot of hockey. So I think it's going to be slow getting him back into the mix. But if you can be flirting as a playoff team come the end of the season, and that's when he's starting to ramp his game up, that's exactly what you need. Talk about having a black ace in the AHL level, right? Like, yeah, sure. You want me to roll out Zach Dean on line 3 or line 4 for you? And when we need a game for a playoff, or you're in the playoff game, like, I'll take that. And so happy for him. The young kid absolutely still has a career ahead of him. I don't know if it's going to be in St. Louis or in Springfield or where it, but he has still time left in his pro hockey career. So I'm happy for him and hope to see him on the ice soon.
Yeah. Whenever he's ready.
But I think consistent every night guy. Like, I'm just going to temper. I would love to see it. I'm rooting for the kid. But I'm just thinking of how much hockey he played last year, hasn't played any this year, getting him ready for game speed and conditioning and all that stuff. It's going to take a while. But when he is ready, he talk about a black ace.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting. And then I'm still hyping the Akil Thomas trade for a month. Akil Thomas train for a month. I'm still waiting on him. Come on, Akil. Anytime now would be great. But again, you don't want to rush these guys. So obviously it is what it is. But we'll keep our eye out for that. Meanwhile, we'll take a minute to say hello and thank you to the fine folks at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning in Amherst. Founder and owner Teresa Dooley Smith, along with her husband Brian Smith, have spent their professional lives dedicated to children and young adults of Western Massachusetts since 1996. The TDS staff are proud to offer a variety of therapeutic interventions, direct family support, and consultation services. For more information, You can visit their website at tdsspeech.com, or you can contact them at info@tdsspeech.com or 413-835-0735. Right in Amherst. They are ready to help your needs. By our friends at the MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. For beginners to pro, MCU Training Center is a one-stop shop to improve your game with the top local trainers and their knowledge, skills, and training to develop programs that will make you a better player no matter your skill level. Their small player-to-coach ratio clinics allow them to focus on individual athletes' needs. Located right over the bridge from the Big E in Agawam, just minutes off 91, serving athletes of Western Mass and Northern Connecticut. You can give them a call, 301-6040. That's 301-6040. Don't forget birthday parties, too. You want to let the kids blow off some steam and just go do athletic sports stuff. It's a great way to have a birthday party. You can hit them up for that as well. MCUtrainingscenter.com. And by our friend Rob at Landscaping That Fits. Now, if you did miss the I called it the suck tax. What'd you call it? The dummy tax?
Dummy tax.
The dummy tax. So if you didn't if you if you didn't take advantage of the SRG 20. I don't know. I can't help you. But now you're going to have to pay the dummy tax, which I love by Matt. But no, in all seriousness, SRG 10. SRG 10 is now the promo code to use at Landscaping That Fits on their website, landscapingthatfits.com. And that will get you 10% off of your applications of fertilizer all season long. It includes 6 fertilizer treatments, a fall lime, crabgrass prevention, broadleaf weed control, grub control, insect protection. He was here at the end of November putting down the winterizing stuff. So Rob knows what he's doing. He's an expert, and trust me, my lawn looks fantastic, and Rob is just such a massive help to me with that. So 847-0338, landscapingthatfits.com, promo code SRG10 to get 10% off your savings for the entire year of 2026. And trust me, it'll be worth it. All right, Matt, where do we want to go here? Fan rants?
Let's recap our
brackets.
We had Adam Gaudette against Adam Greco. We have our one upcoming, and then we'll get into some fan rants.
Cool.
And then close out with our week ahead here. So we finished up our forward side of the bracket, the first round of our forward side of the bracket, with Adam Gaudette against Anthony Greco. And I'll be honest, a little bit of a surprise to me. Winner, Adam Gaudette. That 1 year, I think it was just such a magical, dominant run by Gaudette. Not to mention he's a nice guy, fan favorite. Really the only one we really were cheering for towards the end of that season. So he wins. It was close. It was 28-20. As far as the voting breakdown goes. So congratulations to Adam Gaudette as he moves on to round number 2. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think I'm noticing with these, there's that little bit of recency bias where guys like Will Bitton and Anthony Greco, guys that are sort of a little bit at the beginning of all of this, are losing out to the newer guys, which is fine. I mean, it's just a trend I'm noticing, but it's fine.
And I actually call them the OGs. I noticed some people who comment on our stuff, Greco all the way, like it's all OG people, right? Like it's guys who have been there. And It is like my kids are like, who's Anthony Greco? Of course I like Adam Gaudette more. And it's like, okay, buddy.
Well, 2019 was a lot. I mean, you're talking pre-pandemic. Like the pandemic to me is like my new bar for like how old things are. and he's pre-pandemic. So I mean, your boys were like 2 and 3 when he was playing.
They weren't going to hockey games. They couldn't deal. I remember bringing them to one hockey game, the first one, and it was pre-pandemic, and we didn't make the whole game. I think we got probably halfway through the second period, and then it was like, all right, well, I can't, even though it wasn't breaking the wallet. I'm like, Jill, this isn't something we should let's wait till they're a little bit older so we could enjoy it. If they have a bad taste in their mouth, it's going to be hard to bring them back. So, but anyway, yes. This week we're heading back over to our goaltender defenseman side of the bracket, and we have 2 goaltenders for you. This is a fun one.
Best matchup in the bracket by far.
100%. This is a great matchup. Our 4 seed versus our number 5 seed. And here you go. Our number 4 seed, Colton Ellis. versus our number 5 seed, Samuel Montembeau.
Oh, love
This
it.
is fun. Before I get into their stats, and I'll get into a little bit of their numbers here, I want to take you to take a guess, Steve. Who, out of all the history of the Springfield Thunderbirds, who do you think is the number 1 all-time goaltender for games played?
Is it one of those two?
I'm no hints.
Okay. All right. I would say, on the surface, I would say Joel Hofer would be my guess.
He's number 3.
Really? All right. So if he's 3, number 2 must be Lindgren or Zarenko.
Zarenko's number 1.
Zarenko's number 1. Wow.
Right.
Good for him.
Yeah. Vadim Zarenko, number 1 with 105 games played for the Springfield Thunderbirds. And going back to how I kind of talked about him at the beginning of the show, he's always been, again, no slight to him, but he was the number 2. So the starts were so sparse at the beginning of his career behind Joel Hofer, you kind of forget. But yeah, 105 games played for Vadim Zarenko.
Who's number 2?
Montembeau.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So here we go. Number 4 seed, Colton Ellis. I gotta find him because he was down on the list a little bit. Oh, number 4. I'm sorry, 4 in games played for the team, which that's kind of surprising too. One, is really full-time season, but 64 games played for Colton Ellis, a 2.82 goals against.
Wow.
A 919 save percentage. A win-loss record of 30, 26, and 8. Playing for your Thunderbirds for 3 seasons. And I also I want to point out his career path, right? Where he broke into the AHL and wasn't good enough. He was sent back down to the ECHL and they were like, you need to work on 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe we'll bring you back. And he did. And so imagine what his numbers could have been if he didn't have that little stint where he wasn't really good. I don't want to say it was awful, but you could just tell he wasn't AHL ready. But his numbers, absolutely fantastic. 282 goals against, 919 save percentage. And we know the onslaught of shots that he faced last year. Our number 5.
Can I just give you one more really quick on that? So you talked about his sort of path. What I think is really cool is that I saw it earlier and I just looked it up again. Will Cranley.
Yeah.
Almost the identical kind of path where he was kind of up and down, had to go back down the ECHL, work on things. I remember Colton Ellis was an all-star in the ECHL, I believe. Will Cranley this year in 10 games for the Florida Everblades is 9-1 with a 1.78 goals against and a 934 save percentage. So talk about a kid who is right on that path of doing the exact same thing Colton Ellis did. It's Will Cranley right now, which is really exciting. But anyway, I don't mean to drop that right in the middle of taking time away from the bracket. But yeah,
no, it's all good. No, it's a great little tidbit there. And then our number 5 seed, Samuel Montembeau. Number 2 in games played for your T-Birds, 91 games played. He had a 3.21 goals against average and a 901 save percentage. His win-loss, not as good. 31 wins, 44 losses, 16 ties. But he was part of that sort of Florida Panthers contingent where, again, pre-pandemic, right up to the pandemic, where the team struggled a little bit, but nonetheless a dominant goalie in his own right, and made his way up to the NHL and doing well for himself up there. So
yeah, a lot of those teams playing in front of him were not very strong defensively. I think he got let out to dry a lot. It is nice to see him succeed in the NHL. Super awesome kid. I interviewed him in studio and he was so just polite and just interesting. He was just a really, really nice guy. So I've always kind of been a big Montembeau fan just from our personal interactions. And I never interviewed Ellis, but I met him a couple times. Super nice kid. So I love this matchup because I know how you, the listener, feel about both of these goalies, and there's going to be some of you that are going to have a really hard time voting on this because of your love for both of these. It's going to be fun. I'm curious to see how it all shakes out.
I like this matchup. This is a fun matchup, and hey, I'll be making the posts. Vote on the poll, but put your comments on my little graphic and tell us why you voted for who. And I'd love to have a little back and forth because I'm with you. I noticed that too, the recency bias, and I kind of expect it to continue here, but let's not take anything away from either one of these goalies. Let's hear why you're voting for who you are, who you decide to vote for. So.
Awesome. This is fun. And so, yeah, I guess we'll head now to our the landscaping that fits Monday fan rant.
Yes, I remembered to get it up this week.
There were some good ones in here. I don't know if you had a place that you wanted to particularly start. We usually go to Daniel Flynn, who is good. They played well. Of course, the P Bruins are going to be difficult all season, so losing to them is respectable, but 7-1 is a tough one. Agreed. Which player is surprising you both so far this season? Daniel nominates Marc-Andre Gaudette. Picking up plays and coming from the ECHL to AHL, he's adjusting really well. I don't know how much he actually played in the ECHL. I just feel like he's been a healthy scratch for like a year and a half. And I think he to me would be number one on that list. And do the unsung hero award every year. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Marc-Andre Gaudette, because you're seeing guys that were playing regular minutes last year that are now getting healthy scratched in favor of him, like Bushinger, Johannesson. So I don't think he comes out of the lineup. Like, I think he's in and he's there, and they have 8 guys in 6 spots, and one of those spots belongs to Marc-Andre Gaudette until further notice, which is awesome for the kid.
I agree. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say, and it kind of has to be him. There have been other guys that I've been surprised with, but you nailed it. You look up and down the defensive roster. Leo Loof, Johannesson, Buchinger, Skinner, these guys are healthy scratches, and Marc-Andre Gaudette has. We've used this term before. You have to make it impossible for them not to play you.
Right.
He has. How do you not play this kid? He's all over the place. So he's smart. He's in place. He's where he needs to be. And so I'm with you. He's been my surprise, just because he was one of those players where you're like, all right, he's going to be a spot start guy, to a guy that now cannot come out of the lineup.
I'll give Daniel just a tie for second. Behind Gaudette, I'll say Sam Stang and Nikita Sasuyev, 2 guys that I literally knew nothing about, but look like guys that belong in this league. They don't look like they're in over their skis. They don't look like they look like they belong. So whether it's here or for another team in the AHL, I think these guys are well deserved of being on an AHL roster.
Yeah, that works. I was just trying to look up to see if I could catch Gaudette's plus minus, but I didn't get it in time. So here we go. Next on the fan rant. This is from Jason Paninsky. If you take the pace that they've been playing since Thanksgiving, they'd be about a 100-point team over the course of a full season, which anybody would be happy to take. The downside is they've been unable to generate consistent offensive pressure. Easier said than done, but it's been a theme for the past few years now. And Jason, I agree with you. That's sort of, if you use that mark, I like using Thanksgiving better instead of pre-post to trade, right? Like, keep the player out of it, right? But as of late, they have been playing sort of lights out. Their last 10, they're 7-2-1, which is tied for first in the Atlantic Division with the Providence Bruins. If you look across the entire league, the only team that has a better mark than 7-2-1 is the Grand Rapids Griffins at 9-0-1, which they're 28-1 on the season. That's insane.
It's nuts.
I mean, since then, the Thunderbirds have been a top 5 team in the league. So I expect that to continue. Do they have to play at a 700% winning percentage, for the rest of the season? No, I don't expect that. But I do agree with
They
you.
are 7-2-1 in their last 10.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
They have been playing as a top 5 team in the entire league. So they over the weekend, I think they made it up to 5th place with Hershey. The loss on Sunday dropped them back to 6th. But they now have a 3-point cushion on Hartford and Bridgeport. So,
by the way, Providence also 7-2-1 in their last 10, and I believe their 2 losses are to you. They only have 6. They only have 6 regulation losses all season. I think 2 of those are to Springfield. So you're giving Providence a third of their losses, which is we talk about how much of a pain they are, but that's you're sort of in the right spot here.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one from Jason big time. I wanted to go to Mike Clemty. I'm saying that right?
Yep.
The inconsistency down the stretch late in games is frustrating. They need to play their own brand of hockey more consistently. It was really nice to see Wagner impose some physicality and get under Providence's skin. I think if he can maintain that style of play and still be an offensive threat, he has the potential to be a player that puts this team on his back, like we discussed on the last episode. Yeah, Mike, so I'll take the first one first. That's sort of what I was saying about learning how to kill time at the end of a game. I think that they are actually pretty good when you're down a goal, you pulled the goalie, you need some offensive presence. I think they're getting better at that. It's when you either have a lead or you're at a tie game. How do you not blow it? And I think part of that is playing it like, let's not blow it, guys. You can't play like that. It has to be, we're going to go win this game in regulation, or let's just drag this team that's better than us to overtime and deal with them there. So I do think there's a way to learn the art of killing time at the end of the game, the end of a period, like I said earlier. And then obviously you've been talking about Wagner, who just has, and he's got a letter on a sweater, so he's important. And again, I think he's not taking dumb penalties. Like he had a couple of them early in the season that you're like, dude, come on. Mm-hmm. There were times where I thought it was hilarious when he got jumped by Tufte, that whole sequence. He threw off the gloves and he skated himself to the penalty box. He's going, what did I do? What did I do? I didn't do anything. What did I do? I didn't do anything. And the ref's like, why are you in the penalty box? Go back to the bench. Like, it's like he just assumed he was getting a penalty and he wasn't. So
yeah.
He's doing the right things, not only for the team, but also just the communication with the refs and those kind of things. One other thing, just sort of completely out of the blue, because I always find these dynamics interesting. I know we talked to our buddy Casey Terreri about these kind of things, and I thought it was really interesting when Tufte got the penalty. He was really upset to the refs, and they didn't want to hear him. They didn't want to talk to him. They get there to the media timeout, and usually if there's a guy in a penalty box, the refs won't even bother going to it. They'll just go to the other penalty box to get water. But Tufte called him over, and he said, I just want to know what you saw on the Merkulov hit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very calm, and it was just, 15. Can you tell me what you saw on that hit? And the ref was very like, look, it's a clean hit. If we call this game is physical and it was a clean hit. If we call every borderline penalty, there's going to be 600 penalty minutes and no flow to the game, and the game's going to take an extra hour. And if he gave this nice, long, elongated answer because of that calmness that Tufte provided. So again, just people talk about things that I hear down at ice level. That was one of those ones where I was like, this is a really good referee player interaction that young, maybe young emotional athletes can kind of learn from and say, oh, this is probably the better way to approach things with a referee.
Yeah.
So just an interesting thing there. We also had one where the first Providence game, the first period was going by really quick, and the ref came over for the first media timeout, and I kind of pointed at my watch. It was Johnny Daniels, who's an awesome guy. I pointed at my watch, and he said, he's like, this game is so fast, and there are things that I could call, but why would I interrupt the flow of this game? Like, this flow is great, and why would I interrupt that with borderline penalty calls? Which I also love that. Like, even the ref is watching the game and being like, this is a great hockey game. And then he sees something borderline, he's like, I'm just going to let him play.
Yeah.
Because it's the first period and the play's moving. So I thought that was a really interesting dynamic. So I don't know. People sometimes say like they want to know what I hear and see down there. Those are two stories just from the last two games that I thought were interesting.
Well, that's a nice little tidbit too, right? Because we've talked about this before, where players sort of have to adapt, so to speak, to how the game is being refereed and called. And look, I give Tufty credit for calmly tell me what you saw, right? And give more credit to the ref for actually answering, because he doesn't have to answer. I don't have to tell you what I didn't see a penalty. I didn't see anything, right? So, but the fact that they could have that interaction is great. But Tufty knows, and anyone who watched that game, you knew it was a physical game.
Right.
And that's how the game is being called. Now, when you go and you jump somebody and your gloves come off and you fling somebody down to the ground, that's going to be a penalty, right? So, yeah, good insight there. I like that.
Hey, thanks.
I like that.
Stuff people might like that.
Here's another fan rant, and we'll kind of wrap up these fan rants here. Lisa Osipowicz, her New Year's resolution for the team is to get the shot on goal ratio up a little bit closer, a little bit more in the T-Birds' favor. Keep our goalies alone with their thoughts as much as possible and be consistent. And we agree. We kind of talked about that. And sure, at the end of the day, the only part of the box score that matters is the goals. Like, I get that. But if you're outshot 10-2 in the second period, and then, whatever it was, 15 or 14-7 in the third period, or 5, I'm sorry, 15-5. That means the other goalie is calm, relaxed, seeing the game on the other end of the ice, not worried about it. And your goaltender is under stress, is under duress. And the more stress you put under your goaltender, it makes every little save just that much more important, that much more critical. Because there must be an element of Vadim Zarenko saying, and he probably would never admit this, but any goalie would be like, well, all right, if my team's not even getting shots on goal, I can't let up a goal, right? Like, I have to make every save, because if I don't, my team's not even helping me out here with any shots on goal, let alone worrying about them getting a goal. So there must be some sort of that element to it as well. But I would agree. Just keep the ratio a little bit closer. And in games when they are closer, they're winning.
Right.
They're winning. Like
they actually won the shot battle against Bridgeport. They had more shots than Bridgeport did.
So when it doesn't have to always be you dominating 24-7, but anytime the Thunderbirds have been relatively close in that shots on goal, they're winning those games. So
I will say though, Lisa, like, I've been asking for this ratio to get smaller literally for like a year and a half. And if I don't let it go, then I won't be able to sleep at night. So I'm kind of over it. Like, fine. We're going to average a zillion shots. We're going to lead the league in shots against every year. Then that's just what it is. And I'll find something else to complain about, because it's just never going to change. 30 seconds or less. I want to answer Lynn, who's really annoyed with the power play. They pass and pass and pass. The slingshot, I know I've talked about it. The amount of time that thing wastes when you're carrying it up the ice and then you fling it backwards and then he noodles around, the amount of you get 120 seconds on a power play, and you waste 15 to 30 of it just dinking around in the neutral zone, as opposed to just get the puck and then the puck comes out and then they look up and they're like, we only have 10 seconds left, and then they just motor it into the zone, and it's like, well, why didn't you do that a minute and a half ago? Like, you can get the puck in the zone, just do it. So I'm all over that whole sequence too, Lynn. So I share your frustrations. All right, well, we're sort of up against it here. So let's take a look at what we have coming up this weekend. Another kind of unusual schedule tonight. 7:00 in Utica. Again, a team that you should very much beat. They're in the bottom of their division. I know it's their barn. Thunderbirds don't always have the best luck in Utica, but this is a year where they are down and you are hot. So that is a game that they should absolutely win tonight. Deuces Wild Friday. Stop me whenever you want to interject, Matt, as well. Friday, hosting Hartford. It's an MGM Springfield Deuces Wild Friday pregame concert by the band 1220. So make sure you go check that out. Again, Providence just 3 points behind you in the standings. They have a 3-3 this weekend, so they're going to play 3 games. You're going to play basically 5 games in the next like 8 days. So you got to get points in that one, and you should definitely beat Hartford. Saturday's a big one, 6:05. It is the Springfield Indians throwback night, also an Indians vintage pennant giveaway. The first 4,000 fans, and a post-game jersey auction with yours truly. A reminder again, if you are going to be bidding on the jersey auction, hold that number up nice and high so I can see you. I'm way down here, and you're all way up there, and you're way up in the corner, and you're like, number 6. I can't see that. Hold it up nice and high so that I can see that it's number 6. Sure, yell. If you want, if I'm at $200 and you want to go for 5, then yell 500, and then save us all the time and the effort. So I do enjoy doing these. It's just the more you can help me help you, the better. And then things get a little bit squirrely, as we mentioned. Tuesday and Wednesday, they are at Charlotte of next week. So that's January 13th and 14th. I think Matt and I are going to try to record Monday next week and then release Tuesday before the first game in Charlotte. So just a programming note there. But as I said, 3 games starting tonight that are big. And then really the next 5 are all kind of really sort of, well, they're all important this time of year. It's the calendar starting this January. It's time to put up or shut up and get some points here. So
I'm with you. I don't think I've ever said this on this show, but this is a 6-point week, right? And I don't always like, it's hockey. I know that the puck breaks how the puck is going to break, but if you look at how this week's schedule is set up, like you said, at Utica, it's just got to be a win because of the whole, you got to lay it on these teams that are now not playing well below you in the standings. You got to lay on them. Got to beat Utica. Now you're home against Hartford. You just got to beat Hartford. I follow Hartford too on social media just to kind of we play them so much. I can't remember another team that I've seen so many notifications for up and down and up and down.
Agreed.
Between their ECHL. Yes, between their ECHL team, the Hartford team, and the Rangers. I can't think of another team that's just up and down and up and down and up. So the very outside looking in, I just see the Hartford Wolfpack as right now a collection of, I'm not saying bad hockey players, but a collection of hockey players putting on the same jerseys. Like you talk about how does it take a team to blend and play well and be on the same page? I cannot imagine that any line on the Hartford Wolfpack right now is on the same page. I just can't, because they're not even practicing together. So that's got to be a win. And then when you have Lehigh Valley coming to your barn on a specialty jersey night, it's going to be a packed house. You're going to be wearing those fresh threads, the sweaters. You got the auction coming up. Thunderbirds always play well in those situations. They play well. Doesn't always get the win, but they always play well. They feel the energy. They feel the Thunderdome. So I'm looking at this week thinking, is this a 6-point week? And like anything less than 5, I'm kind of disappointed in. Like I'm not looking at any of these games saying could be a regulation loss. It just shouldn't be. And it's not my expectation for this team to run the table the rest of the season. They're going to lose, but if the Thunderbirds can have a good week and play their hockey, this is a 6-point week.
They always play extremely well. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but whenever it's a specialty jersey night, the record's good. I don't know what it is, but it's good. And if you can hang with Providence, who's in second, and you can hang with Charlotte, who's in fourth, and you can hang with Lehigh Valley, who's in third, like you can do it. So let's get that done. They're going to be on sort of a long-ish road trip there as well. So take your points where you can get them. Absolutely, Matt. I don't think 6 is unreasonable. So
there you go.
Awesome. A lot to look forward to. Big thank you to our friends at the TDS Center for Learning and Development. Big thank you to Landscaping That Fits, of course, always, and MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. Big thank you to those who listen. I can't tell you how many, it's been more constant now of how many people come up to me like, hey, I was at the game last weekend. Hey, I was at the game yesterday. Hey, I was at the game. People that I know haven't been to a game in years are starting to go. And so thank you for getting your friends on the excitement of Thunderbirds hockey. If they're interested, make sure you send them our way, get them in on the podcast so they can learn a little bit more about the team and the players as best we can. And we appreciate every one of you who comments and listens, tweets, and everything else. Thank you to all of you out there who listen.
Yes, much appreciated. This is nothing without you, the listeners, the likes, the follows, the comments. Get your friends in on our bracket, right? The greatest Thunderbird of all time. Ask them what they think. Tell them to go on our socials and have a debate with us and vote this week. It is Colton Ellis against Samuel Montembeau. This is a fun one. This is a good one. I expect it to be close, and I want some interaction. So let's go. We got 3 big games coming up. 6 points. Let's go, T-Birds.